Good afternoon everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's lovely to have you with me. I'm going to do my Margarete Miller assignment this afternoon. Now this assignment is part of the 2023 Collage Weekly Planner challenge that Margarete Miller is hosting, and if that's a new challenge to you, then the link is in the description box below the video. The assignment that I'm going to tackle today is assignment number 39. There's only a few more assignments to do before the end of the year. But before I start tackling that, I just thought that I would show you where I have been storing all my completed assignments so far this year. And this is my little bundle from number 1 through to number 38. If I lift that out, you can probably see it. So these are all the ones that I've completed, and I just put them in these little cello bags just to protect them, and I've got the prompts tucked away inside. And this is the book that I am going to use to bind them all in. Now, I used exactly the same book last year when I did the 2022 challenge, and it's just got a little faux closure. As you can see, I've collaged all over the front, down the spine and the back, and that's what it looks like inside. Now there's a whole video on how I've done this, the whole binding process, so I'm not going to go through it with you in any detail today, but suffice it to say that it worked so well for me last year that I wanted to repeat it again for this year and my assignments for 2023. And this book I actually had here at home. In fact, it was one of Maggie's, and she said that I could use it to bind all the assignments last year, but I didn't have another one, so I went online and I bought this one. Now these here in the UK are dirt cheap. I picked this one up for about £2.50. I do have another one that I bought for next year's assignments, and that one was £3.50, a little bit more expensive, but certainly not prohibitive. And for me, these books are the perfect size for my collages. So the same as I've done with this one, at the end of the year I will be collaging all over the front cover of this. I will put a false closure on it. I've left my front sheet in there. My hinges are already prepared, ready to go. I did promise myself that as I did each signature and completed the assignments for each signature, that I would actually hinge them together and sew them in, but I haven't done that, so I'm going to end up having to do that all in one go at the end. And then these are how I store my assignments ready to go. So these are the few that we have outstanding before the challenge is finished. As you can see, same sort of arrangement. I use a cello bag. I do my collages on these lightweight pieces of card. My prompts are inside, and I usually put a post-it note on the front, and then as I lift out my prompts to work on, if I have any ideas that come to mind, then I jot them down on the post-it note. And also if I have any pieces that readily come to mind in my stash that I might use for the prompts, then similarly I pop them in the cello bag. So I've got a couple there where I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do for the prompts. But on this one, which is number 46, as you can see, I've made some notes there, and I've also put in a couple of bits that I know I'm going to use. This one I've got some clues, you know, for the prompts, but I haven't put anything in. And similarly here I've got some bits tucked away. I usually do find some bits. Sometimes I don't use them, but I just pop them in there so that I know what theme I might decide to run with for that particular assignment that week. So there we go. These are the few that are outstanding. And here at the back, I've just got my template left over from last year and some Tyvek there. So I'm all set to go with those. And I just thought I would share that with you. And if you are of a mind and want to do the same thing, as I say, there is a video of how I created last year's book, and as I say, these are dirt cheap. Here in the UK, I don't even pay any shipping on these when I buy them. So if you just put in Penguin Encyclopedia, edited by David Crystal, on Google, it will throw up some options there for you. Okay, so I'm going to pop these to one side and I'm going to make a start on my assignment number 39. So I've lifted out my prompts ready to go for assignment number 39, and the first prompt is a fragrant plant. So I've done a little bit of fussy cutting already, and this was a sprig of lavender, and I have chopped it in half because I wasn't sure how big it would need to be. Something local. Well, the reason I went with lavender, apart from it being a fragrant plant, was because there is a farm near me called Inglenook Farm, which is in Rainford Village here in Lancashire. It's about 3 miles, maybe 5 miles up the road, and it is a lavender farm amongst other things. And this is a copy of their sign that they have outside Inglenook Farm. So I've printed off a copy of that, and I'm going to use that. The next prompt, the third one, an animal with long ears. Well, I dug out my little children's books and I've come across these, and these I think that's a bunny, and I think probably this one is supposed to be a rabbit as well, or it could be a hare. Certainly that one looks more like a rabbit, but either way I'm going to be using either one or both of these. Something that makes you happy. Well, I love beautiful writing, and this is a page out of a book that certainly makes me happy. This is a book called Sketchbook from Southern France, and it's a book by Sara Midda, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favourite books of hers, and I love the writing that she does throughout, and also the little snippets of information that she puts. I can't find another page now. Anyway, and all the little snippets of information that she puts on the pages when she writes about them. And this is a page about March and what has happened to her, or things that she's wanted to record in March. So I just think this book definitely makes me happy. March is a great time of year. It's the end of winter, it heralds spring, and this is just beautiful. This lovely writing with, as I say, the snippets of information that Sarah has included on here. The next prompt is something found in the mountains. Well, I've printed off these. Now these are wall arts. They're little ceramic images that look like bronze or copper, and they're images of climbers. I'm going to use probably 2 or 3 of these. Not sure which ones yet, probably that one and this one, maybe this gentleman here, and see how they go on my piece. And finally, the bonus one is a form. Well, I've got this income tax form here, and it's been filled out and stamped and signed. It's a vintage one, so I'm going to be using that. This is my background piece of paper, lightweight card, 160 GSM, and I've just drawn a pencil board around the outside and the number 39 down in the bottom corner. Let's make a start. I'm just going to put my prompts in front of me, and I'm going to trim down this left hand edge of the form. I've got a nick out of the bottom corner there, so I'm going to trim that down on my guillotine. So let's get that done first. I'm just going to pop that on there because I think I'll have that over to the left hand side, and I'm not going to trim it down anymore, but I am going to have it slightly to the right hand side of the pencil border. So the next thing I think I need to do is to cut out some of these figures, and also to cut out my rabbits. So I'll be back when that's done. Here are my 3 little climbers all cut out. Little bit fiddly because they are very small. They're about just over 1 centimetre in height, so I've managed to cut those out, and I've also cut out the larger of the rabbits off that little image, and I've left quite a border around the outside. I I think that will help make it stand out a little bit better against my backgrounds here. So I've still got this on here, and I'm going to more or less, I think, leave everything without ripping it away too much. And I thought that it would be nice to have this just underneath that number up there, and by doing that it leaves me a reasonable portion at the bottom. This gap here is probably a bit more than I would want, so I'm going to just move it over to the right a little bit more to try and balance out the gap that I've got from this mark here, this border mark here, to my form, and this here. It is bigger on this side, but I don't mind too much because it gives me the option to actually just move this across. But I've got this crest up here which I don't necessarily want showing, so I am limited a little bit to how far over to the right I can pull it. So I'm thinking that works quite well, and I'm liking that I've got a small gap at the top there and a small gap at the bottom. I'm thinking that I might have my rabbit down in that corner. Let's have a look at this lavender. Now this is quite a big sprig. I was thinking maybe I could do something like that with it. And let's go for the longer piece here. Be nice to have this coming off the top up there if I can, and that will just about do that for me. And yeah, that's working quite nicely. Let's just move this a little bit at the bottom here. So I'm just trying to connect it up really with this lower portion down here, which is where I snipped it off. I've got that portion. Just going to maybe tuck that under that leaf like that. And I'm not sure if I want that piece on there like that or not. I could move my hair so that it's staggered a little bit more there. Okay, so where am I going to get this on? Let's take that hair away. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to putting this on my form. I've glued my Sara Midda page onto my form and the whole thing onto the background. So I'm committed to that now, and I'm going to try and get this label on, or this copy of the sign. So I'm wondering if I can put it across there like that and cut this edge off here. But let's have a look and see what that looks like with the lavender in place. And straight away I can see that if I have the label or the sign too much over to the left, I am going to obscure most of the sign. So I'm thinking that I might have to just do something like that and use these leaves here to sort of frame the L. Let's angle that a little bit more that way, pull that over some more. Oh, that's not too bad because the foliage is hiding the edge of the sign on the left hand side. I think that more or less works, which means that I can go back to using this one to go right up onto the top up here. Yeah, and then this piece can go next door to it, something like that. Yes, I'm liking that. So I'm going to put some glue on this piece here. Okay, so I'm thinking that I can have this piece just trimmed off the edge there like that. So I'm just going to trim that with my guillotine. Luckily I've got a paragraph break there, or a line break, and that's working out more or less as a good guide that sign is where I want it to be, so I'm going to put some glue on the back. Actually, at this lavender farm, they do some really nice artisan markets there, so that's how I know about it. Plus, as I said, it's right on my doorstep. And go back in with my main stem. So I think we're going to have it, I might move that slightly over, yeah. So I'm going to come in with some glue on here. And this one I thought I would just have coming off to one side. Not sure where this one is going to go, whether to have it in there like that, which is quite nice, and it balances it out. But I don't actually mind having it down that side. My rabbit or my hare, I think I will have it sat like that so that it's staggered on the bottom there. So I'm going to go with that. Oh, I just had a thought then whether I would actually like that tucked behind it. Oh, now I need another piece, don't I? That would be nice. Or do I have it there? Almost ties it in a little bit by having it here. I do have another piece of lavender, quite liking that, and it just takes off that corner down there and helps my rabbit just blend in better. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I don't need the stem, so I'm going to take that away. And again, I'm not minding that it's slightly going over my border. That's just a guideline for me, so that I know when I'm binding my pages into their signatures that I have got enough room all round. And this border, as I'm always saying, I end up rubbing it out after each assignment. I just feel that the lavender down here and the lavender up here balances it up nicely, and include that in there. Before I glue it down, I want to get my little men in place, or my climbers in place. So one like that, have that one up there, and this one could be just hanging down here. That's the configuration, and I'm still undecided about that, so that sprig there, so I'm going to leave that until these are glued in place. There we go, everybody. That's my little finished piece for this week. Wondering whether to pop that little piece down in there, which I think I will, because I think that looks pretty. And just one final thing to do. I've lifted out a Pilot 0.5 pen, and I'm just going to draw in lines to mimic the ropes coming down from my climbers. There we go. So there we go, everybody. Hope you like this one. Came together very, very quickly. I did have an idea for this one, and the minute I started pulling out my pieces, I knew more or less where everything was going to be laid out. So I'm really pleased with it. Very simple, but yeah, I like it. I like it. So quickly going through the prompts. A fragrant plant. Well, that's my lavender sprig here, and some of the offcuts I've used down here. Something local, well, that's my Inglenook Farm sign. An animal with long ears, my rabbit or my hare is down here. Something that makes you happy, well, I told you all about that. Sara Midda's book, what she writes, her font, or her calligraphy rather, the fact that it's March, which is the beginning of spring, and all the little pieces of information that she puts in her book, just fabulous. So it definitely makes me happy. And something found in the mountains, well, I've got my climbers here, and bonus a form. Well, I've got my form in the background there, and I'm really loving how the sign for Inglenook Farm actually is more or less the same colour as my form in the back there. So there we go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll do some photographs at the end of the video so that you can have a closer look. Until the next video, take care. Bye bye now. Bye bye.